Hey, what is up, guys? I am back. It has been over a year since I've last recorded, but I'm glad to be back, and I'm here to spread out some more sports news. But first, I want to talk about the NFL playoffs. The NFL playoffs has been really good so far. I'm not even gonna lie, but some games have been eh. Like the biggest lopsided game of the NFL playoffs was by far Patriots versus Bills. Bills won 47 to 17, 30-point deficit. Let me tell you Josh Allen's stats because he is by far a top three quarterback. His stat line was 21 for 25, 308 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 picks, going along with a 157.6 passer rating. That is pretty nasty. But Mac Jones, in my opinion, he was a really good quarterback. I'm very biased towards hating on him because I'm not a huge Pats fan myself, but I'm not gonna lie, he is really good. He is a really good quarterback. He's an accurate QB. You can definitely rely on him in big moments. But his two pick game against the Bills, it just wasn't it. It just wasn't it. And but going into the offseason, he should feel pretty confident with the season that he had going into his second season. But here's the thing. Bill Belichick, he is definitely an overrated coach. Definitely needs Tom Brady in the big moments, especially in the playoffs. But I think Bill is a decent coach otherwise. But in my opinion, in my personal opinion, he needs Tom Brady because without him, he's at most an average quarterback without Tom Brady. I just don't think he can get the job done because he definitely has go. This is going into the draft too. Like he doesn't pick the right guys besides Sony Michelle and obviously drafting Tom Brady and Malcolm Butler. Those players definitely paid off uh, when he drafted those guys. But let's talk about the next divisional round. So the next games will be 49ers versus Packers, Bengals versus Titans, and Bills versus Chiefs. The Saturday games are 49ers Packers and Bengals Chiefs. I mean Bengals Titans, and the Sunday game is Bills Chiefs. But mostly what I want to talk about is the Buffalo Bills. They have been a really good team for the last 2 years now. Josh Allen has developed like crazy, and I'll stand by that. He is a top three quarterback. This is Josh Allen's stat line throughout the whole NFL season: 409 out of 646 with 4,407 passing yards, 36 passing touchdowns, 15 interceptions with a 92.2 passer rating. And this is Patrick Mahomes: 436 out of 658, 4,839 passing yards, 37 passing touchdowns, and 13 interceptions with a 98.5 passer rating. That is pretty good. I want to talk about Stephon Diggs. To all the Pats fans who call him out for being a disappointment or not a good receiver, you are absolutely wrong. He owns J.C. Jackson and he makes every cornerback look silly, like J.C. Jackson most importantly. And I'll admit he is good. He's a good corner, but he just doesn't get the job done against Diggs, and he disappears in big games. Like, come on now. He's a disappointment, and I think the Pats should get rid of him because he takes up way too much money. And there's rumors that they're going to franchise tag him, which is not a good move at all. Because I don't know how much they'll have in cap, but I've heard a lot from Boston Sports News that they'll be they're not there won't be a lot of cap, and I don't know, just but yeah, let's talk about some other games. Okay, Rams versus Cardinals, the 8:15 game tonight. Um, I don't really know what to think about that because the Cardinals are missing DeAndre Hopkins, and for the Rams, it looks like everyone's healthy besides Darrell Henderson. They're starting running back this year, but the Rams do have other running backs like Playoff Sony that I want to talk about. He is really reliable. He's really good running back, and he can definitely give you points in the playoffs, like 145 rushing yards he had last game or something like that, which is really reliable and really good, especially for a backup running back. I think he's the third string. on the Rams, which is actually pretty crazy. But yeah, and talking about the Cardinals and Rams game, I think the Rams are going to win 35-24, something like that. I know Kyler Murray's a really good quarterback, and he can obviously give you points, stat line, and game points too. But I just don't think he's going to get the job done. He's a young QB going into a playoff game, which obviously is do or die, and I just don't really know what to think about him. So is Matthew Stafford too. He doesn't have a lot of experience in the playoffs because he's from the Detroit Lions, but he's had a really good season besides the 17 interceptions, which is terrible. I want to check that. Actually, I want to check his stats for how many interceptions he had in the last two games. I think he had two. Okay, so he had four, but overall in the last three he had seven interceptions. Uh, yeah, 3, 5, 7, and for passing touchdowns it was 6. So it was a 6-to-7 ratio, which is not good at all. Which, if you take away those 7 interceptions in the last 3 games, he has 10 on the year, which actually is really good, believe it or not. Especially for what he's been playing at this year for a level, which, as what I keep saying, is really good. And that's really reliable. That's what you want to look at for a quarterback. Obviously, a person who can throw passing touchdowns, but also a quarterback who can limit the turnovers. But talking about Kyler Murray, he has a fumbling issue. But here's the thing: he's a scrambling QB, and he's little. He's not as muscular as the guys that he plays with on the field. So obviously, he's gonna have some turnovers, holding the ball, and maybe even throwing picks. But Kyler Murray, his for passing wise, it's kind of low. He only has 3.7K passing yards with 24 passing touchdowns and 10 interceptions, which, it's good. It's really good. But what you want to look at for a dual threat QB is you want to see at least, I would say, in the lower 30s for passing touchdowns. I mean, he's really good. In college, he was outstanding. He was the first overall pick. He has everything on his plate right now to show and what he can prove. For him to be a really good QB in the playoffs, especially. But I don't know. I don't know what it is. He just doesn't have DeAndre Hopkins, his go-to receiver, which could really cost him this game. But we're gonna have to see how this game plays out. It's lopsided. We don't know what's gonna happen, but we'll see. I'm not here to judge, but I'm here to go off stats and talk my opinion. Now I want to talk about the Bills-Chiefs game, 6:30, the Sunday game next week. It is going to be really good. The Bills, they won 38-20 last game. I think that was week 5. I want to double check that real quick. It was week 5. Yep, Bills won 38-20, and I'm going to show you that stat line for both QBs. Josh Allen, 15 for 26, 315 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks, with a 139.1 passer rating, which is outstanding. This is why Josh Allen is my favorite QB in the league. Throughout the whole entire league, he is outstanding. He's developed like crazy. Everybody said he was done. He was a bust, which I have had faith with him 100% of the time throughout his whole career, and it paid off. Josh Allen, he's outstanding. There is no reason why people should be hating on him, because he's the guy who, he's just outstanding. You really can't, you can put it into words, but for how outstanding he is, you really can't put it into words. It's just insane how he plays. It's insane how he flicks the football and it just goes 80 yards. But also Diggs, he had 2 receptions for 69 receiving yards. Dawson Knox was the leading leader in receiving yards with 117 out of 3 receptions. That is insane. That's averaging 39 yards a catch, which I don't know how that's physically possible. But I'm going to talk about Patrick Mahomes too. Patrick Mahomes, 33 out of 54, 272 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. That's all right, but he had a passer rating of 70.9, which isn't good. So he was kind of inaccurate, or really inaccurate, I should say, which this season he's had a down season in throwing turnovers. Last year I think he had only 6 picks or something. It was 4 or 6, and now this year he has 13, which has gone up really inaccurately. And with Patrick Mahomes' level, he's obviously really good. I would say top 3 as well, but it's not good. You really need to limit the turnovers. And I want to talk about limiting what the Pats or not Pats, Bills. What I want to talk about is the Bills D, how they need to cover Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. They need a double team. They obviously need Jordan Poyer or Micah Hyde on one of them, and they need to bring over like a middle linebacker for zone or man coverage, especially. But you need at least a double team for one of those two guys, which could that could cost you in a win, which in a good way. And for the Chiefs, that could cost you in a loss if you allow the double team. But out of that, you need Mahomes to be in that scenario. You need Patrick Mahomes to be running the ball. You need him to be a dual threat QB that game, and you also need Mahomes to be passing under pressure, which we'll see what happens there. But you just never know. Let's see. Here, I'm gonna try to find some other news to talk about. Okay. I don't really want to talk about this game, but we'll just do it anyways because it's playoff football and it's something to talk about. So, Buccaneers versus Eagles. Buccaneers won 31-15. Terrible. Another lopsided game in the playoffs. Tom Brady, he was 29 for 37. 271 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 0 picks, with a 115.2 passer rating. Really good. Hold on just one second. Yep, okay. So 271 passer rating. That is, that's good. That is good. And Jalen Hurts, he was terrible. There's no excuse for what he's had besides the offensive line, really. But he was 23 for 43, 58 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 2 interceptions. Not good at all, and his passer rating was 60. 60 passer rating. That is terrible. Absolutely terrible. There's no excuse for it. And but whoever this Vaughn kid is, this Keyshawn Vaughn kid, I know he's it's his second year. I know he was drafted in the 2020 NFL draft, but he had 17 rushes for 53 rushing yards, average 3.1 rushing yards a carry. His 17 yards was his long, 2 targets for 1 touchdown. That's a good game. That's a good game besides the 3.1 rushing yards a carry. That's not that good, but otherwise he had a really good game. Mike Evans, okay. I don't like Mike Evans personally. I think he's a diva, but there was only one play in the game that absolutely carried him. It was the 9 receptions for 117 rushing yards and a touchdown. His average was 13, his long was 36, and he had 10 targets. It's good, but his long was the touchdown. It was the 36-yarder. Like, I don't know. I just don't know what it is with Mike Evans. It's just I think he's a diva, and plus I'm a Saints fan too, so I don't know. But that's really all there is to talk about for the NFL playoffs. Josh Allen is a top 3 QB. He's the best in the league, obviously, and he torches the Pats. He's just the best QB in the league. You cannot slander the guy, because if you slander the guy, I'll find you and I'll expose you. But anyways, that's it. Adios.